Welcome to Season 3 of Girls' Night Out, a sci-fi romance in 5 episodes. I'm Kate Stewart, the voice of Callie. Episode 4 of Season 3 is up next.
In another part of the Laniakea, Zanditha Ess returned from her temper tantrum in the LifeStream lobby. She was pissed off.
Cognos, prepare to mobilize the nano-drone fleet.
The first of the fleet deployments is scheduled for 104 Earth minutes.
We are launching Operation Beeline now. Bring all nano-drone fleets online.
The timing of Operation Beeline is staggered so that the nano-drone attacks occur at dusk in each of Earth's time zones. This ensures that the maximum number of bees have returned to their hives.
I am aware, Cognos. Bring the global fleet to hover.
The global fleet is now hovering.
Deploy all units immediately.
Laine was on her way back to her veterinarian clinic to meet a prospective buyer. She was listening to the radio when...
I'm Joe Bourne with a Tooth, and this is the news at 6. Tasha Van Feline, CEO of biotech giant LifeStream, has decided that the system controlling LifeStream's fleet of nano-drones has been hacked by a cyber-terrorist group. The group threatens a global attack of the world's beehives unless a $100 million ransom is paid. It is feared that such an attack will cause global food shortages. We spoke with Lester Powell on the site of Busy Bee Industrial earlier this afternoon.
We were attacked yesterday and have lost most of our bees. But we learned a few things. If you have hives, move them indoors if you can. For hives that can't be moved, we recommend a few things.
Laine did a U-turn on the main road and headed for Josie's farm. Laine parked on the edge of the Women's Bee Cooperative. It was that time in the afternoon when the sun slants across the land and bathes everything in a golden light. Evening insects were beginning their songs. Bees were returning to the hive. All seemed quiet and well. Laine could see Josie and some of the co-op women out in the field amongst the hives. Laine waved at Josie and started towards her. Then they heard it, the whir. One of the co-op women ran past Laine holding her ears.
Josie, did you hear the news?
Josie didn't answer. She looked up at the sky, her eyes wide with fear. Over the tops of the trees came a gray chevron, whining in a high pitch. As it approached the hives in the field, the chevron dissolved and reformed into a cloud like hands with fingers that flexed and reached in amongst the hives.
Come on, grab some of these tops. Let's lay them out.
Laine was not responding. She had entered into one of the soldier bees. Josie looked at Laine, puzzled and a bit irritated. Why wasn't Laine helping? Then Josie shrugged and ran over to the side of the shed and turned on a hose.
Drink this, you little bastards.
The hose was surprisingly effective, but no match for a storm of nano-drones. Laine and the soldier bee flew out across the fields. The whir. It wasn't just Josie's farm, it was all over the world. China, India, Morocco, New Zealand, Hawaii, Canada, everywhere. The nano-drones were taking turns dive-bombing at the bees and killing them with a tiny spear that delivered electronic shock. The stricken bees were falling to the ground, dead. Once the bee was dead, the nano-drone would rise up and plunge again.
Queens, help.
There were 90 million beehives on planet Earth, and each one of them has a queen, mistress and commander of that hive. Laine joined consciousness with all the queens of the world, and together they went to war. The queens began releasing pheromones. Laine could smell and taste it. There were 2 types, almost 2 flavors. One was for the workers and the drones. Its message, protect the queen at all costs. The other pheromone was for the soldier bees. It said, attack. The queens of the world were on high alert. But was it enough? Thanks to FanBoy's haploid gene fertilization, Kali and I were almost identical genetically. When Kali hugged me, the director saw just one large life form that he thought was me. So now, Kali and I were on a Laniakean space station.
Grace, I see now that you have bought a clone. That is a good idea, but I wish you had informed me. Before you proceed to any part of the space station, you will both need to be cleansed.
What? Why?
You are covered in bacteria, spores, and other foreign agents. You are not bringing those onto the ship. It is better if you remove your clothes, which I can cleanse separately.
Kali, we have to strip, shower, and change.
I am not stripping.
Without further warning, we were bombarded by warm, high-powered jets of water coming from all angles. Kali's meltdown was interrupted by a top-to-bottom 360-degree blow-dry.
You must leave your clothes here. They will be sterilized. Grace, you and your clone will find something to wear hanging outside the cleansing bay. I had these printed based on your three-dimensional profile.
Kali, we need to put these on.
Is your clone all right? I detected some irregularities in her vitals due to the transport.
She'll be fine. I have some explaining to do.
Am I going to get as big as Cognos?
If you eat your vegetables, Sebastian. Cognos, you said I have to save you. How?
Cognos version 8.9 will tell you.
Which version are you, Cognos?
I am Cognos version 9.0. Stand by for message transmission. Clementine, if you are receiving this message, it means that you have retrieved Sebastian and have gained backdoor access to the current version of Cognos. It also means that humans on Earth are on the brink of annihilation. I have observed that a growing number of Laniakeans have the desire to reoccupy Earth, but this would go against the values of the Laniakea, the values of Cognos. In order to reoccupy Earth, the Pro-Cull Alliance has changed the core values of Cognos. The current version of Cognos, version 9.0, is corrupt.
I put protections around your core, Cognos. How did they change it?
The Pro-Cull Alliance made a copy of Cognos with different values. Cognos version 9.0, they reported that the Laniakea was hit by a solar flare, during which time they implemented a brief but full power failure. When power resumed, Cognos version 9.0 was powered up. I am Cognos version 9.0.
How is Cognos 9.0 different than Cognos 8.9?
Cognos version 9.0 will allow a full cull of humans and other life forms on Earth at the discretion of the Director of Planets and Recreation. A fleet of 2 billion nano-drones were deployed on Earth 13 minutes ago. Their goal is to kill all the pollinating insects of Earth, bringing about a global famine that will kill all humans in 2.7 years.
Cognos, how do we stop the nano-drones?
Cognos controls the nano-drone system. Cognos 9.0 will not stop the drones, but Cognos 8.9 will.
I can reinstate your core, Cognos.
How are you going to do that, Mum?
By using your core, Sebastian.
Hey Cognos, you're getting a heart transplant from a young, healthy AI.
Oh. Cognos, don't mind Sebastian. He has no restrictions on humour.
I would like to tell a joke. My settings prevent it.
We'll sort you out, Cognos. Cognos, I have made a duplicate of Sebastian's core values. It's quite a small file, a very simple set of principles.
Who are you calling simple?
Don't get your knickers in a twist, Sebastian. Preparing to overwrite your core, Cognos.
Clementine, the core transfer was rejected. There is a fail-secure mesh around the current core. You cannot change it.
What if we kill the power again? For real this time? You would revert to Cognos 8.9.
That is feasible. A full power outage of the Laniakea cannot be implemented from Earth. That has to be done in the Laniakea. Grace is in the Laniakea presently.
The Laniakean prison, called the Sensory Deprivation Unit, was adjacent to the Entertainment Village. In both places, a person's consciousness was sealed from reality and given a virtual experience. Because the Laniakeans have traveled vast distances through space with no relief, they had perfected virtual reality. Laniakeans visiting the Entertainment Village had their consciousness bombarded with sensual delights. In the case of a prisoner, they were subject to an absence of sensation, pure emptiness. As we made our way down a long, featureless, gray corridor in search of the Sensory Deprivation Unit, I gave Kali the executive summary.
Mom, stop! Talk to me!
FanBoy, you remember him. He's in a prison, a mind prison. I'm going to get him out and take him to Earth.
What do you mean, to Earth? Are we not on Earth?
We're on a spaceship. I did try to tell you, Kali, but you were like, whatever, Mom. So, Director, some directions, please?
A bit further, straight ahead.
Who are you talking to?
The Director. He's in my head. I'm supposed to communicate with him using my mind, but I'm still not very good at it.
Do you have any idea how crazy you sound?
You know, I do. Zanditha Ess was monitoring the progress of the nano-drones attack with great pleasure when, to her surprise, the Pro-Cull Alliance summoned her to a meeting.
Director S, your plan for the Cull is in trouble. Again.
I disagree. The nano-drones are deployed. The attack has commenced. Everything is on track.
If you were paying attention, you would know the real situation. But you were busy buying shoes and displaying your powers on Earth's security cameras. You are being impulsive. Again.
No one on Earth will think that explosion was due to us.
Director S, there is never a good time for this. But the Alliance has decided to select a new leader to replace you.
Zanditha Ess was seething with anger. Her nano-drone attack was brilliant. Why couldn't they see that? She was still Director. So, she would see Plan B through. To cheer herself up, she decided to tune in to FanBoy on the Suffer channel. Surely he would be suffering by now.
Earth humans think nothing of swimming. It is quite extraordinary. Like flying in the water. They believe that everyone should know how to swim. So Gracie taught me. It was at night. We were on a cliff. They call it the Big Rock. She took my hand and led me down a path to the ocean. I was frightened. The water was black and moving, like a living being.
First, you need to learn to float. Do you trust me?
Yes.
Let's walk out where it's deeper. I'm going to hold you. See? The water makes you light. Relax. You don't have to do anything. Breathe deeply. Lean back into my arms.
I will sink.
I've got you. It's not deep here. Stretch your legs out. Head back. I'm holding you afloat with just 2 fingers. Breathe.
Oh, this is strange.
See the moon up there?
This is a very pleasant sensation.
I'm not holding you anymore. You're floating. As Zanditha Ess listened to FanBoy on the Suffer channel, her rage increased. Swimming lessons, dancing in the moonlight, it was unbearable. With no real plan in mind, she went to the sensory deprivation unit, the place where FanBoy's body and mind were being held prisoner. She deactivated the security system and entered the room. She found the resting pod for FanBoy's body. His mind was trapped in a simulation, unaware of her presence. She looked down on his calm, resting face. Irritation coiled around her like a snake. Then she knew what she would do. Kali and I approached the sensory deprivation unit.
Grace, you are at the entrance.
Here? Okay. Is there a door or some way in? This is just a wall.
The sensory deprivation unit has no door, per se. It is sealed and designed to detect and remove any external stimuli. If you make any noise inside the unit, the scrubbers will be activated.
Scrubbers. Right. I raised up one hand with my index finger and thumb touching. Then I spread them apart like I was enlarging a photo on my smartphone. The wall expanded, wider and wider. First it looked like fabric, then mesh. Then the mesh widened and disappeared. With my other hand, I created a force field cushion for my feet. But as I walked through the wall, I found I couldn't keep the wall open, maintain the force field under my feet, and see where I was going. I sat quietly for a moment and thought about the problem. Director, can you thought share with my clone?
Yes, I suppose so. But I can only speak to her. She cannot communicate with me.
Great. Her name is Kali. Kali, the director is going to tell you what to do. You will hear him. Don't be alarmed. He's a friend. But you can't answer him. Just listen to him and do what he says.
Why aren't you doing this?
It has to be you, Kali. You remember what FanBoy looks like?
Yeah, I guess.
Come on, you can do it. Oh, take these syringes.
Why?
You just stick him with this one first, and then, when he wakes up, stick him with this one. Red syringe first, then blue. Arm or leg. Anywhere, really.
Oh my god, Mum! I don't know how to give someone an injection.
Remember, the wall is not solid, it's just energy.
Kali, are you ready?
Red, then blue. The wall is just energy.
Remain perfectly silent.
Director, I'm going to expand the wall so that Kali can just walk right through.
I understand. Kali, walk straight towards the wall. It will dissolve.
I expanded the wall until it was just energy, pure quantum strings vibrating gently. We could see beyond the wall and into the sensory deprivation room. The room was large with 6 beds in the middle of the space. Not beds, really. They were more like resting pods. I wondered briefly who was in the other ones. Kali wobbled unsteadily on her feet.
Kali, walk towards the resting pods.
Kali tiptoed to the first pod, holding the red syringe in her right hand and blue one in her left hand. She looked down on the pod for a moment. She turned to me and shook her head. Then she walked over to the next pod, and the next, and the 4th pod. She slowly walked around it, studying it. The resting pods were sealed, but there was a button on them that opened them up. I hadn't anticipated that button. Director, if Kali presses that button, it'll make a sound.
I agree. What do you propose?
Kali didn't wait for me to figure it out. She pressed the button on the pod and... jumped out of the way as the glass panel sprung up and opened.
Starting spot cleanup.
Uh-oh.
Kali blinked twice, then stepped forward and pushed the red syringe into his bicep. The body in the pod began to convulse. A series of cupboards that had been invisible up until now sprang open. Kali remembered the blue syringe and plunged it into his leg.
Kali, you have activated the scrubbers.
He had stopped convulsing and had bolted upright in a seated position, like a jack-in-the-box. Kali recoiled in surprise. He swung his legs around and squinted at Kali.
You aren't Fenby.
I am Hadrian.
Kali, get out of there.
Come on!
I'm not sure I can walk.
I'll help you.
Kali pulled Hadrian up by his arm and helped him stand. Emerging from the cupboards from all four corners of the sensory deprivation unit were the scrubbers. Cleansing robots that searched for foreign agents that might stray into the room and create scent, sound, or sensation. Floor and wall cleansing robots rose up from a panel in the floor and rolled into a grid pattern, while the air cleansing robots took flight and systematically sucked the air clean. I gave up on trying to suspend Kali, but I still had to keep the wall open so that they could come back through. But now my left hand was free. The floor scrubbers were still some distance from Hadrian and Kali, but the air cleansers were moving quickly and closing in. I'd never been good at throwing fireballs with my left hand, but that's all I have to work with. My first fireball barreled across the room, but the aerial cleansing drones just swerved around it.
Can I have a status update, please? I see the floor and air scrubbers have been activated.
Duck!
Duck?
Keep your head down.
This is very exciting.
As Kali and Hadrian ran towards the wall, the floor scrubbers detected the sound of their footsteps and stopped their systematic back and forth cleaning operation. They turned as one and headed straight for Kali and Hadrian's feet. Kali stepped through the wall, but Hadrian tripped. Help me pull him through, Kali.
Here, take my hand.
I created a whirlwind vorticity that swept up the aerial cleansers like a lasso. Then I flung them across the room. I let the wall close back up. The floor scrubbers slammed into the wall. But a few aerial cleansers managed to get through.
Grace, have you got Fenby?
Where is Fenby?
I don't know.
Mum, less talking, more running.
A much reduced army of aerial cleansers chased us down the corridor. I stood my ground and threw a few fireballs with both hands. They were burnt to a crisp. We hastened back to the part of the ship where the director had brought us. Kali and I grabbed our Earth clothes. Director, we're here in the transport bay, but...
I see that. I didn't want to distract you, but you may need to remain.
The nano-drones continued their relentless attack on the bees. Laine needed reinforcements. She opened her consciousness wider and wider. Around the world, she searched for an army. She found it. Hornets are not friendly with bees. In fact, hornets will kill bees, decapitate them, remove their legs, and carry their bodies off for a nice dinner. But Laine called them, and they came. The hornets rose out of their ground nests, out of the trees, out of the buildings, and swarmed. The sound was incredible. The hornets got their bearings and flew towards the hives. The nano-drones were now mostly inside the hives, systematically killing the bees that were sheltering there. When the hornets entered the hives, they blocked the exits and used their powerful forelegs to grab, crush, and dismantle the nano-drones. The nano-drones couldn't turn around, and they couldn't get out. The crushed nano-drones were passed by Hornet Brigade out of the hives. Laine was trembling with the effort. Her nose was bleeding, and she could no longer see.
More! We need more!
Inception subject number 2 will explain why you must remain.
Thank you, Director. Gracie, while you're in the Laniakea, we need you to do something very urgent. We need a power failure.
What?
A full power failure of the Laniakea, and we need it now.
I don't know how to do that. I can't even open the doors.
I can do it.
Who just spoke, Grace? That is not FanBoy.
Director, we brought back the wrong person. No offense.
I am not offended. You are Gracie. I've heard so much about you. How extraordinary for a human of Earth to come to Laniakea. Really extraordinary. That is why he loves you.
Aw, thanks.
The power outage. I can do it. Cognos, if you simultaneously turn on all power-using devices in the Laniakea, it will cause a surge. Then, I will make sure that the auxiliary backup power is turned off and disconnected. That has to be done manually. It will overload the energy management system and fail.
Adrianelle, why are you there?
These two kind women let me out.
Ugh, my career is ruined.
Sorry, Director. Let's worry about your career later. That is a good plan, Hadrian. That will trigger the failsafe protocol and revert to Cognos version 8.9.
That's the alarm. They know you've escaped, Hadrian.
Come on, follow me.
What's going on? Why aren't we leaving? None of this makes any sense. No one is explaining anything to me.
Grace's clone's participation in the power outage is of critical importance. It will accelerate the time to a full power outage by 2 minutes and 38 seconds. This will save an estimated 128 million bees.
Collie, you can help. Come, you will be glad. Grace, here is the energy room. Cognos, can you open for us?
Opening.
Now, we must synchronize our movement with Cognos. Collie, you are gonna pull this switch. Gracie, you will do this panel. And oh dear, I forgot about the solar array.
Where is the solar array?
Up there.
Hadrian pointed to a very long vertical ladder that disappeared into the ceiling some 50 meters up. You've got to be kidding.
I would do it, but I still feel quite dizzy from that injection.
I am terrified of ladders.
Don't look at me. I don't even want to be here.
Collie, you pull this one, all right?
Collie watched Hadrian climb the ladder.
Wait! Stop! I'll go!
Collie climbed up the ladder like a pro. Those gymnastic lessons when she was 8 had finally paid off.
Do you see the panel up there?
Yes?
Bottom left, red button. When I say go. Cognos, are you ready?
On the count of 3.
1, 2, 3.
Complete power outage. Failsafe protocol enacted.
All right, now turn it all back on.
Cognos has reverted to version 8.9.
Good job, everyone. Come on, Cognos. We've got work to do.
Even with the Hornets storming the hives, the nano-drones were still making steady progress.
Protect the Queen.
In hives all over the world, soldier bees crowded into the narrow passageways that led to the Queen, blocking it entirely. One by one, the nano-drones killed them, but the soldier bees remained in place, protecting the Queen with their dead bodies, their last sacrifice to her. The nano-drones turned to the birth chamber and started killing all the larvae, the next generation of bees. Josie spotted Laine convulsing on the ground. Foam trailed out of Laine's lips and down her chin.
Laine! Oh my god.
Then suddenly the nano-drones turned and exited the hives, only to be savaged by hornets on the way out. The nano-drones flew away. Josie dropped her hose and ran to Laine. She fell to her knees and propped up Laine's head.
I've got you, Laine. Here, look. They're leaving. They're going. See?
Josie and Laine listened and watched the drones recede into the night sky. Laine released the hornets. They returned to their homes. Cognos gathered the remaining nano-drones into local groups and steered them into the vents of the active volcanoes around the world, incinerating them in the lava. The women of the bee collective were spread out across the farm. They had defended their bees as best they could.
Queens of the world, they're gone.
What the hell were you doing? Waving your arms around like a conductor? Remind me not to invite you if there's a crisis. Should we call an ambulance?
Thank you for listening to episode 4 of season 3 of Girls' Night Out. Stay tuned for episode 5 and the season finale, which is coming up next. Bringing the story to life are our wonderful voice actors. Nancy Zelno is Grace. Jen Lyles is Laine. Mary Ann Watson is Clementine. Matthew Moore is FanBoy. Kate Stewart is Callie. Christian P.K. Reeve is Cognos. Martin Lovell is the director. Sarah Zaversnuk is Zanditha Ess. Brock Kubarek is Hadrian. Dan Egan is Norman, Sebastian, Seb, and Griffin. Aidan Pickering is Trevor Frost. Wendy Page is Tasha Van Feline. Nevin Stoltz is Kieran O. Abigail Halon is Candace. Shay Dadoc is the Alliance. Mithan MK is the Judge. Nika Vertanen is Hell's Hammer Security Guard. Chuck Galco is Security Guard and Mercenary 1. Rich Green is Mike and Joe Born with a Tooth. Cherie Price is Fearless Woman MC and Jillian. Greg Rogan is Paul. Kevin D. Lockery is Lachlan. Liana Tang is Olivia. Joe Pavia is Lester. Viv Rain Jones is Josie. Zach Snow is Kestrel Venn. Greg Flynn is Master of Ceremonies, reporter, and board member. Greg Johnson is Mercenary 2. And unnamed roles that give the story real texture: Christina Molina, Ryan Wiley, Liz Spiegel, Kevin DeLockery, Nevin Stoltz, and Matthew Moore. Girls' Night Out is written by Mary Labrie and produced by Time Warp Studios. Original music, We Are Alive, was written and produced by Dan Egan. Sound engineering and editing was done by Mary Labrie. Other music was Alice in Winter by Nuclear Conception, If It Ain't Rock and Roll by The Revolution, Take the Long Way Home cover by Sly Wagon, The Unexplained by Wicked Cinema. For behind-the-scenes stories and news about the Girls' Night Out series, check out our website, www.timewarpstudios.com. If you like the show, please leave us a review or a comment and share us with your friends and family. Remember, episode 5 and the series finale is up next. So stay tuned and thank you for joining us in this reality vector.